Hi, I'm Aaron Brown. This is Speech 1040, Introduction to Communication. I'll be your instructor. This video is to welcome you to the class and to explain a few things that you might be curious about. First, who am I? Who is this guy who's going to be running this class for you? Secondly, what is this class? What's it about? What am I going to learn? Third, how does it work? How am I going to take a class that's about communication online? That seems like an oxymoron. How is that going to work? Well, we'll explain it. And then finally, I'll give you some ideas for what you need to do to succeed in the class. In other words, how do I pass, but also how do I make this thing worthwhile? How do I get some use out of this material? What does it mean? So we'll run through all that, and by the end of it, you should be able to do well in Speech 1040 at Hibbing Community College. Okay, so first up, who am I? Well, I'm Aaron Brown, and I've been an instructor at Hibbing Community College since 2004. I am joined by my little puppy friend. Well, she's more than a puppy now. She's graduated from pupper to doggo. This is Daisy. She officially grades all of your work. She reads and sees all your speeches, and she does a great job. I just take the credit for it, but she's the real brains of the operation. I'm married with 3 boys. We live here in rural Itasca County. That's where I am today. And really what I like to say is I'm a writer, I work in radio, and I'm a teacher. And I spend my days doing those things. And I love all of that work. It's all connected. I've worked in Iron Range media since I was 16 years old, either for radio or newspapers. And I also have a lot of experience with public speaking and have worked with politics, business, and with nonprofits and the arts, all related to expressing myself and also preparing messages for professional use. So all of that experience I take with me and bring to you and try to get you ready for whatever it is you're going to face in your life. I am a first-generation college student. I grew up on a salvage yard out in Zim, Minnesota. Went to Cherry School, and so I understand some things about, maybe not having all the resources when you start college, not knowing what to do, not knowing who to talk to, not having a lot of family experience with the different things you run into while you're going to college. So I have some experience with that, and perhaps I can help you if that describes you. I've worked with a lot of different students from all over the country, and I've worked with people from all over the world, so I'm really looking forward to meeting you, seeing where you're coming from as you take this class, and hopefully I can help. That's the goal here. That's the goal with this class and my goal as an educator, so I look forward to working with you. Next, I'm going to tell you about what this class is. Speech 1040 is an introduction class that covers really 3 big areas, I like to think. One of them is interpersonal communication, the day-to-day communication we have with other people, especially people close to us that we deal with fairly often, our families, our primary relationships, our closest friendships, and a lot of our work relationships would qualify as interpersonal communication. We also talk about professional communication, the kind of communication you would do in groups at work, working with customers, things like that. These are not necessarily part of our family communication, but they're important, and we need to be effective communicators in those situations at work in particular. But also in community activities, and working with our local government, and working with different organizations we might be a part of, maybe perhaps our church or a group that we're involved with, a civic group, a hobby group that gets together to knit is in fact an organization of sorts, and we need to be able to communicate. And then finally, the one that I think most people think of when they hear Speech 1040 is public speaking. It's also the thing that people probably dread the most, either because they get nervous with speeches or because they've had a bad experience or don't see why it would matter to you in your career path. Well, we explain in this class what public speaking is, how it works, and how to get better at it, how to get to a place where you can do it when you need to. And that's a very important skill. And even if your job in the future doesn't entail public speaking on a day-to-day basis, your life might in ways that you don't expect. And so public speaking isn't just getting up in front of a bunch of important people and saying blah, blah, blah important things. It's also the speeches we give at our weddings and the eulogies we deliver at funerals and the times that we have to stand up and give a speech at a retirement party. We don't know what the things are in our lives that will require us to speak. We just need to be able to do it when we can so that we aren't paralyzed by fear. And so a lot of this class, whether it's interpersonal communication or public speaking, deals with unlocking our potential so we can deal with the barriers, the fears, and find solutions for these problems in our lives, well, many of which stem from communication. So that's what this class is and what we plan to cover. So real quick, I'm going to run you through how our class looks and how it works on Brightspace D2L. When you first log into D2L, our course management system, you're probably going to see this welcome page here, and you'll see something called My Courses. My Courses just shows the courses you're currently registered for. So you'll want to look for Intro to Comm, 1040, whatever section you happen to be registered in. And then when you click on that, you enter this, which is our welcome page. This is the welcome page to my class and where you'll spend your time in this course doing your work. You'll see some menu options up above. You'll see a calendar to your right, and then you'll see an announcements area where the weeks or the current unit will be displayed. I'll explain that as we go along here. First thing I want to draw your attention to, though, is under Materials. Materials is the tab that shows you where you can get at the content. And that's that first option right there on the screen. You click on Content, and it will take you to the current assignments. Now, there's other ways to get that I'll talk about in a bit, but Content is what you want to look for under the Materials tab. Next, you'll see Communication, several options in there, but there's one that I really want to highlight, and that would be Discussions. Discussions is where we do our participation exercises for each unit. So there's a discussion board where you'll be expected to post a certain number of times and reply and respond to other people in the discussion area. I'm looking for an actual interactive experience here. So I'll be reading along, chiming in occasionally, but I read everything and I'm looking for sparks of thought. And so you'll look for your discussion assignments in there. Course Home obviously shows you where to go when you want to just come back to this page, but the next tab I'm going to look at is Assessments, and under Assessments you'll find a few items that are important. The first one is the Assignments option. The Assignments folders are where you turn in things like papers, outlines. I have a resume assignment later, so anything that's done, for instance, in a Word document or some kind of word processing document, you'll turn in through a folder. And I'll have links to the individual folders as well, but if you're ever looking for where that is, you can look at Assignments. Grades, you can always check your grade in this class, your current grade, by clicking on the grades. You'll see every item that is graded in the class, and you'll see a score next to it. If it's not graded yet, you'll see a little dash or just a blank spot. And if you want to know how you did on an assignment, how you're doing on discussions, if you have any questions about your grade, you can see where you're at any time and keep that updated throughout the term. Quizzes is where you'll, if you need to find a direct route to the quizzes that we take in the class. All of my quizzes are open book, but they are required, and they do involve reading the chapter of the textbook in questions. So if you want to know what's on a quiz, the unit assignments always explain the chapters we're covering, and all of the quizzes are related to the reading in this class. Alright, so going back to this main page, getting out of this menu bar, now we're looking at the page. I recommend that you, another quick way to do this is just instead of going through the direct routes that I showed you, you can just scroll down on the announcements, and as you scroll down to the bottom of each unit's description, which I always have right there, you'll see a video that I produce for explaining things verbally if you prefer to hear it that way. But you can always get right at the assignments directly with this link. And every announcements page has a link like this. You just click on it, it'll take you right there to what you're supposed to look at. So you can look for that link right there. All right, here we are, back at the main page. I wanted to just highlight another thing, looking at that Materials tab again, like we talked about before, and you're going to click on Content, which is what I told you before. And what does that look like when you do that? Well, you'll go in here, and it'll take you to this area. The overview shows you the syllabus, shows you You know, the table of contents on the left-hand side shows you what's in each unit, and including the current one, has the dates when they begin, and then the due dates are in each of those units explaining when things are due. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see for instance, in this case, the orientation unit shows what's on tap for that particular unit. You'll see the video, you'll see this unit assignments page is always, I have one of these in every unit, and if you click on it, everything is in there in exquisite detail, and you can look at it in one form. Some people like to print them and make sure they're doing them. But I also have links to things you might use, like a handout, like the syllabus. The discussion topics are always linked directly from here. The quiz is always linked directly from here. And then at the end, a checklist. Every unit has a checklist, and you can just see it and say, hey, did I do all those things? If you did, hey, you're doing pretty good. That's just a quick look at D2L as we use it in this class. So there you have it. That's me. I'm Aaron Brown, Speech 1040, Introduction to Communication. Now you know who I am, and I hope that this video was helpful in getting you ready for the class ahead. I look forward to working with you, and enjoy your time in the class, and keep in touch. Thank you so much.